Look at almost any hosting plan in 2026, and you'll see the exact same feature listed in the bullet points: free SSL and domain management. While the marketing vocabulary is identical across competitors, the actual infrastructure being provided behind those claims is often completely different. These offerings fall into two distinct camps. You have systems that are automated and included as part of the architecture, and systems that are technically free but require your manual intervention to stay active. We need to separate the genuine structural inclusions from the promotional traps. Treating these features as identical ignores a structural gap that leads to failed renewals and site-wide security warnings as industry standards shift. Historically, SSL certificates were valid for long periods. Setting a manual calendar reminder to update them was an acceptable management strategy. This timeline shows the new phased reduction schedule mandated by the certificate authority industry. The maximum validity period drops to 200 days in 2026, 100 days in 2027, and finally hits just 47 days in March 2029. As that validity window collapses, relying on manual calendar reminders becomes a mathematical impossibility. Under the 2029 rules, a certificate will require complete revalidation and replacement roughly every 6 weeks. Relying on a manual free tier saves a few dollars on launch day, but it creates an administrative burden that most teams simply cannot sustain. With shrinking lifespans, the true value of a free SSL is no longer the certificate itself. It is the automated renewal system behind it. But even the most advanced automated systems will completely fail if a single underlying mechanism is missing from your setup. Before an automated system like cPanel's AutoSSL can renew a certificate, it has to run a pre-flight check. That check requires the web server to write a specific validation record, a CAA record, into the zone. This flowchart breaks down the 5 links in a successful automated renewal. The domain resolves, the name servers point at the host, the server writes the CAA record, the certificate authority reads the zone, and the certificate reissues. Link 2 is the usual breakpoint. If you keep your authoritative name servers pointed at a third-party registrar, your host script writes the CAA record into a dead zone. The certificate authority never sees it, and the renewal silently fails. Separating your DNS from your host provides architectural resilience, but it completely breaks native SSL automation. Automated SSL is not a certificate feature. It is a direct outcome of your domain management choices. That brings us to the second half of the marketing claim, the bundled, free domain that accompanies many budget hosting plans. This chart compares the 3-year total cost of ownership between a bundled domain and a flat-rate purchase. The inflated renewal markup in year 2 instantly wipes out the initial upfront savings of the bundle. This works because of an ICANN policy that locks newly registered domains from transferring to a different registrar for 60 days. Combined with authorization code hurdles and support delays, that newly registered free domain becomes highly sticky. Accepting a free domain saves roughly $15 on launch day, but you surrender your leverage to escape non-negotiable yearly markups later. A bundled free domain is a promotional loan where the web host controls the interest rate. Even if you manage the domain costs, the free certificates included in these bundles are strictly domain validated for single named hosts. That means every time you add a staging site or a regional subdomain, that specific address requires its own individual validation pass and wait time. This quadrant chart plots the administrative effort against the number of subdomains you run. Once you cross the 5 subdomain threshold, the effort required to manage individual free certificates spikes sharply upward. The line for a paid wildcard certificate stays flat. One certificate covers the entire domain level, so the administrative effort stays at 0 regardless of the number of subdomains. The technical barrier is that wildcards require a DNS 01 challenge. You must prove control through a DNS record, not just a simple file on the server. The free tier keeps upfront costs at 0, but creates operational bottlenecks as you scale. A paid wildcard allows for immediate expansion without the validation delay. A free certificate actually starts costing a business money the exact moment that it slows down operational momentum. Free simply means domain-validated, single-domain coverage that is highly reliant on bundled DNS. We can map the correct architectural decisions to 3 distinct technical profiles. For the set and forget user, the best path is to point your domain's name servers directly to your web host. You surrender architectural independence, but you gain the guarantee that those 47-day SSL renewals will happen automatically while you sleep. Agencies and resellers should seek hosts offering private name servers and invest in a premium wildcard SSL. You pay higher upfront costs, but you secure a white-labeled client experience and the ability to instantly deploy infinite subdomains. Architectural optimizers must keep their domain registrar, DNS routing, and web host strictly separated. This achieves maximum network redundancy, but it explicitly breaks native auto-renewal. This path requires you to engineer your own API-driven SSL updates. There is no universal best setup, only the correct architecture that serves your specific risk tolerance and technical capability. Never accept a marketing badge at face value without interrogating the underlying mechanics. Use this digital checklist to audit any prospective host during the buying process. Force the sales team to answer these specific questions. You need to define exactly where their free tier ends before you commit your data. True value in web hosting is measured by transparency and long-term automation, not by promotional giveaways on day one.